Week 8 is here. You got buys. You got about the halfway point of the NFL season. We got to do some digging in here to get where we want to go and make the profits that hopefully we can at some point this NFL year. And that means we're going to do what we always do here on the Splash Play channel, getting ready to find the must plays on a Friday. Of course, that means looking at projections via our friends at Stochastic. We'll also look at ownership as well, get a read on who the chalk's going to be this week, where there are so many expensive running backs. We'll also hop over to ETR's side of the aisle, see what the solver thinks the best cash game lineup currently is. We'll also see what the top sim lineups are on there. We're on a stochastic sim, and by the end of this video, you know all the must plays, along with perhaps even my splash plays for this week. But let us get into it here. Hope Thursday Night Football is better for you guys than it was for me. That was one of the worst slates of the year for me. So, I mean, just to be real about it. And it sucks because I do feel like there are things I got right really in the beginning. The Vikings defense, which I was saying on here, like thought they would get pressured, thought they would knock the Chargers back, thought there was compelling case to play Vikings D and Cameron Dicker. Of course, that first drive for the Chargers, seemingly a Vikings touchdown, and then nope, they don't get a touchdown there. Instead, Rondé Gadsden scores a touchdown. That basically was just the end of the day. That was when it all went to shit. Besides Carson Wentz and seemingly his limbs all looking askew at various points. But yeah, really just wild outcome yesterday. Minnesota dying for JJ McCarthy, I guess, to get back in there. But yeah, interception overturned the entire. I mean, I agree. It did change the entire flow of the game, and it does feel like I was saying it. In the Discord yesterday, it feels like you're kind of probabilistic cope, where it's like, like this shouldn't happen that often. And it's like, even a Rondé Gadsden hitting, like he's been playing so fantastically, but he's like the fourth receiver on a team where there's a ton of targets going to three guys on a running game that's really heavily involved, and he's going nuts. And like, yeah, he looks super talented in the data, but a lot of what we know and usually assume of fantasy football is that a guy like Gadsden doesn't get out there because he can't really pass block, and he's playing a ton of snaps and killing it. So there's a lot of things that have happened this year overall. Obviously, the microcosm of the Vikings interception thing, but also just in general football, like things that feel maybe not the most likely to have hit, but what are you gonna do? They hit, and then you just got to adapt accordingly. Gadsden's a monster, setting rookie records, I believe, with his over 300 plus yards in the last few games. So pretty crazy. Top projected players this week, though. We are on track now that we've licked our wounds for Thursday Night Football. Jonathan Taylor, 9,500. I believe he's even more expensive on FanDuel. Not that I'm playing on there, but I believe he's 10K plus. He is expensive. The Colts total is insane. 30.5 implied points. Not a spot for the Colts either, where they're letting up against much of anybody. And Tennessee not playing with a lot of play volume, only 57.9 plays per game. That's pretty low. The Colts also at 59.9, definitely not the higher end of play volume in the league. It seems like you're expecting peak efficiency for the Colts, them to be on the Tennessee side of the field often and having success with it. For Jonathan Taylor, it's hard to critique him at this point. 5.4 red zone opportunities a game, 3.4 inside the 10-yard line. He's missing tackles still at a nice 24% clip. Not quite Bijan Robinson levels. We're not Shady McCoy out there from back in the day. But we're doing a good job with Jonathan Taylor with the usage that he has. 22 intended touches overall and change on that. So Jonathan Taylor, great. I think at 9,500, though, we're giving up a lot of really nice plays in the slate. In the 8K range, a little bit cheaper. So I get Jonathan Taylor being your top guy, 25.2 fantasy points, $9,500 salary, though. You're asking a lot. Bijan Robinson, number 2, the boy in the thumbnail today. The boy, he's a man. He's looking great in the spot here. Going against the Dolphins is always going to be a nice look. A defense that overall has given up 0.26 EPA per drop back to opposing QBs, 0.3 EPA per pass, 0.06 EPA per rush, missing tackles at a 13% rate. That's all good stuff for Bijan, who has a 33% avoided tackle rate on his 22.8 intended touches a game. A lot of juice for Bijan. He's been great. The biggest issue with him is that he doesn't have quite as good of a red zone role as Jonathan Taylor. He's splitting work pretty meaningfully with guys like Tyler Algier. 3.3 red zone opportunities a game for Bijan compared to 2.3 for Algier. You combine those together, then you get Jonathan Taylor's workload. So for Bijan, I think that's the inhibitor. He's obviously a better PPR play, getting 6.7 targets a game. This week, he's got to compete with McCaffrey at 9K, Jonathan Taylor at 9,500. It is a very heavy running back week. I don't know how you could play all three of these guys and still field a competent receiver and tight end room. Yeah, look, these three running backs all in pretty good situations. McCaffrey, I would say in the least good one, but he gets spam touches at a rate that seems also implausible. So like the matchup for Bijan, love the team total for Jonathan Taylor. And the matchup is obviously going to be good. Good game script going against Tennessee in their mostly impotent situation. McCaffrey, though, I would say the toughest matchup overall, at least on paper, going against Houston. Team total for the Niners and 20.3 points here. The Houston has defended the pass pretty well. Negative 0.21 EPA per dropback, one of the best marks in the league. Only a negative 0.02 EPA per rush, which is not bad. Could be worse, but it's towards the better part of the league for sure. For McCaffrey, it's the fact that he gets 28.6 intended touches a game, 9.7 of which are targets. It's a crazy workload, 5.9 red zone opportunities too, even though he's not scoring a ton of touchdowns. In most games this year, he's getting enough looks to get them into touchdowns. So another really strong play. I'm curious to see what the ownership is because I've not dug in on it yet between doing NBA data and of course our NFL prep as much as I could. I don't know if these guys are going to be owned, but it's crazy. Like these are three really good plays on the same slate at price tags that feel implausible. Jamar Chase, 22.5 fantasy points behind our big three at running back, but he has a killer matchup versus the Jets, who also just announced, number one, no Garrett Wilson, so fuck me. Fuck me and my best ball exposures. Q tag for Tyrod Taylor, so still a chance we get Justin Fields' redemption song, which fucking pleased for that. Besides that, though, Jamar Chase, no Sauce Gardner. So that's something that'll help out. Jets defense, no matter what, sucks anyway. 0.17 EPA per dropback. We're not talking about as bad as the Bengals' own defense, but still a really bad number. That's basically it. You take out Sauce, they're already bad with Sauce, and then Jamar Chase is getting 11.4 targets a game. Joe Flacco, he has said literally in interviews that his job is to get Jamar Chase the ball. If Jamar Chase says something to him, he goes, yes, sir, like whatever you want. That's the relationship here. He's been good. When you are paying for the running backs, I don't know how you pay for Jamar Chase as well, but he's 8,100, obviously a big upside play. But maybe Joe Flacco gets overcome with emotion being back against the Jets. I don't know. But it's just Jamar Chase, really strong play as well on a slate where there are a lot of really good plays. Lamar Jackson, 6,800 here. A couple elite QBs on the slate as well. The options, even though it is a bye-week situation, you got a lot of options that are what we would say are elite plays based on performance this year and historically. Lamar Jackson, 22.2 fantasy points going against Chicago, whose defense has stiffened up, but they have not faced Lamar Jackson. They also are getting 27.3 implied points for Baltimore. So Lamar coming back in. He's been getting a ton of pressure on the year, taking sacks 8.4% of the time. That is one of the worst marks in the league. But the Bears do not get a lot of pressure, only a 20% pressure rate. They've generated a lot of picks, 6.4% interception rate for the Bears, but that's like twice league average, more than that. So that's going to come down. Hard not to like Lamar in the spot. He's been limited in practice with the hamstring. But the assumption is that he goes. Josh Allen, not too far behind at 21.9 fantasy points, but more expensive at 7,500. And Jalen Hurts facing the Giants. They got embarrassed by them a couple weeks ago. Still a man defense heavy spot. And we did see Jalen Hurts drop back an ungodly amount last week as they try to get this pass game fully resuscitated. There's a lot of options, guys. It's a loaded slate, which is, again, crazy given the buys and all that. And the fact, KC Washington, which should have been more of a marquee game if our sweet boy Jaden could go. Not so much. Joe Flacco, 18.85 fantasy points for top value on the slate. We got another one here where it's mostly QB based value. Flacco going to come up naturally a good amount with Jamar Chase, I would think, depending on how much we get of the running backs. Spencer Rattler, 4,700. I said this in the Discord when we were talking about QBs a little bit. What if this is the week Spencer Rattler hits? That's every week where we're thinking, hey, maybe he could possibly do it. Matchup versus Tampa Bay, pass defense there, always the way that we do want to attack them. They're not very good defending the pass, about a 0.1 EPA per dropback and pass. Much better versus the run with a negative 0.12 EPA there. One of the better marks in the league. For New Orleans, though, Rattler, he's not super efficient, but he's not that bad. Negative 0.02 EPA per dropback overall. 86% catchable ball rate. That's rock solid. In reports this week about teams sniffing around Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. The indication seems to be like the Saints want to keep Olave, probably don't want to pay for Shaheed. Target share kind of reflects that this year as well. 30% target per out run for Olave, 10.1 targets a game, 20.8% for Shaheed, 6.4. targets per game. So we have a clear kind of pecking order there. It's not a bad spot. It's also not been a bad spot for Rattler many times. So you get what you get with Rattler, but 16.2 fantasy points, easy stack. Maybe that's, I mean, maybe if there were Shaheed hard hits, that's decent value. 4,700, 4,700. Juwan Johnson's 3,200. His role's not as good as it was with Taysom Hill and Moreau back in, but he's still there. Bo Nix facing Dallas. Dallas, obviously a defense that we want to attack a lot. Bo Nix had decent production last week. Denver's total 27.3 implied, facing a Dallas team that also is around that 0.17 EPA per dropback, 0.2 EPA per pass. Bad numbers overall. Low catchable ball rate for Dallas's defense. So they're giving up, whenever they are giving up production, it's big hits. Maybe that makes the Marvin Mims a little more interesting here. Cortland Sutton's still getting 12.3 air yards per target as well. Bo Nix has the guys we know that you want to stack with. The running game always kind of looms for Denver, but it never really seems to get there. Also a very zone-heavy matchup, which really doesn't favor anybody. Broncos, nobody's earning targets that well versus zone. Evan Ingram, 25% leads the way. Cortland Sutton, only 18% a target per run versus zone. Mims and Troy Franklin at 17. Weird. Is Dalton listed as any kind of value? Andy Dalton? No. Dalton Schultz? Yes. Daniel Jones, 6,100, 20.6 projection. Getting that really high total for Indianapolis. If you're not playing Jonathan Taylor, you should probably consider Daniel Jones. I do think Alec Pierce is a little sneaky this week. It's never easy to predict an Alec Pierce week. I don't know what the equivalent would be. Like predicting a meteor coming into the solar system, right? That sounds like a thing. But we got 30.5 implied points for Indianapolis. Alec Pierce facing a team here that does struggle downfield, giving up 18.1 yards per pass when you attempt a deep throw against them. Also 1.1 EPA, 19% touchdown rate. So maybe Alec Pierce gets one going. Now, that said, how main slate DFS works, unless Alec Pierce went absolutely fucking bananas and killed the projection for Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren, he probably doesn't really have an easy pathway to getting there. Point being is I think there are ways that the pass game could work. Downfield should be open going against Tennessee. The issue is how much does Tennessee keep it competitive? If it's not competitive, you're getting more Jonathan Taylor. So you get leverage theoretically with going to Daniel Jones against Jonathan Taylor. And I guess you could play them both together because it is possible that Daniel Jones runs at a couple touchdowns. Taylor runs at a couple. Maybe you get one touchdown to one of the receivers or Tyler Warren. There's a lot of ways it could work out with Daniel Jones when you have a total that high against a team in Tennessee. That's awful. And also is a 14-point dog. It's fucking crazy. Just crazy numbers from Vegas this year. And then, not that I'm questioning it. It's just that's embarrassing. That's bad coaching hires too for Tennessee. Not super stoked to hire the old guy who is not, honestly, made Cam Ward look the best I guess he has this year. So we'll see. Maybe there's hope. Dalton Schultz, our only Dalton in the top 5 of value. He's coming up with a $3,300 salary. You might have no Nico Collins, it looks like. You might have no Christian Kirk either, which is kind of nuts. That does mean Jalen Noel should have a shot at doing something useful like he did the last time that Houston played. But Dalton Schultz getting himself 6.2 targets a game, 23% target per out run. He's not bad. The matchup seems like a league average one for tight ends against Niners defense. 0.16 EPA, 13% target rate. It's whatever. Dalton Schultz, solid play. I don't know that you ever want to play a super chalky Dalton Schultz, but he's played well this year in this offense. Tyrod Taylor, not too far behind, assuming he goes at 4,500. Justin Fields, if he were to start, if Tyrod Taylor can't go, he's at a 5K salary. And that's that. Good ownership here. Again, guys, premium video coming up at the end. I'm going to have to remember how to do that one more time. But stay tuned for that. We'll be going into the data deep dive, or I'll show you my data sheet, go through game by game, and talk about it all. So if you want to join the channel for $5, and now is the time to do that. I'm going to say buckaroos, but please to support the show here. And of course, guys, if you get any value out of this video, please do make sure to subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. It all goes a long way for me here. Just one dude showing you my gambling as best I can in the world of DFS. And hopefully my passion shines through. Really, I consider this a show by the people, for the people more than anything, even though I've been working in the content space for a while. I've done some interesting things in my life, like running Football Outsiders. But I just like doing this work every week, talking about these slates with you guys, and hopefully giving us a shot at making the most of the DFS grind. Day like yesterday really fucking takes the wind out of the sails a little bit. And also fucking Andrew Nemhart got hurt in the NBA. So it's like, it's the worst DFS day in a while for me. But we just dust ourselves off and try to make the most of the next week. All right, we got Bijan Robinson. He's expected to be the highest owned by Stochastic. 35% expected ownership here. Again, great matchup going against Miami. Nice total for Atlanta, no matter who's starting. It should be Michael Penix. But if you got a Kirk Cousins start as well, I think you would still be in good hands overall. With going to, literally Bijan Robinson's not going to be affected by anything that goes on. So I think for Bijan, strong play, super chalky though, and we got a lot of running back options to consider. We got Zay Flowers at number 2, 5,400. Getting Lamar back should help out a good amount. Get a nice total for Baltimore. Zay just too cheap. That said, Zay Flowers, I would say going the wrong way in his overall trajectory on the year. He's getting 7.7 targets a game, so he's maintained a good volume there with Cooper Rush and Huntley for as little as that went on. 1.2 deep targets a game, 0.3 red zone targets. It's not awful for a guy like Zay. Yeah, I can get with that. Doesn't feel like Rashee Rice, like Return of the Mac kind of thing, where we're really trying to feed targets to Zay Flowers and make him, have a good day because whatever reason, we have some victim complex going things. We talked enough about that last week. But for Zay Flowers, 30% ownership, that's a lot. It's a lot for Zay. But I like the price tag and I get it. Rashad White, 6,400, expected for 28% ownership, so I guess he's part of the way. Perhaps we get some savings overall. No Bucky again, no Mike Evans again, no Chris Godwin. It is sad times for Tampa Bay. Mika Egbuka out there, he's going to be super chalky. Rashad White, I just feel like the opportunity is a little more secure for Rashad White. Even with all the stuff that's gone on, and Mika Egbuka is still only a 24% target per out run guy. The hamstring still does loom a little bit, even though I presume he's getting healthier as time goes on. It's hard to critique Egbuka because he has fucking murdered everybody in this receiver room. There's nobody else available, and not even Bucky too. Like Bucky's so good in the pass game, he's not there. Rashad White not as good in the pass game. That's the big difference between him and Bucky. In the roles, but he's still keeping up being a better runner, I think, than Bucky has proven himself to be so far this season. So Rashad White, not a great running matchup against New Orleans, but yeah, 6,400, I get it. Emeka Egbuka, 27% ownership. Kind of just talked about him already. He's getting 1.9 deep targets a game, only one red zone target. 7K feels a little bit lofty, and I do think you're kind of paying for previous production. Look, Egbuka's EPA is evened out, so he's at a 0.33 EPA per target. He can keep that, and that includes the run good he's had in touchdowns. Like, I think that's my biggest issue with Egbuka previously, is that he's just had some real lucky touchdowns, and I just think expecting those week to week is not the right move. He's also not generating a ton of value after the catch. 6.5% avoided tackle rate is a little bit low for a guy who's supposed to have juice. So when I see him be this chalky, the only reason I point this out, and I know it can sound like, oh, you weren't there in best ball, so you're mad about it. And yeah, but it's mostly that, like, I'm just not sure he's as special as the results make him look so far. But Baker forces him the ball. That alone, that inertia of it could be the thing. And New Orleans secondary is definitely worse than the run defense. 0.16 EPA per dropback allowed, 0.18 EPA per pass. You're talking about negative numbers versus the run game. So it is a good Egbuka spot. Jonathan Taylor at 9,500, expected to have 25% ownership. I think people will be willing to pay that price tag. We are getting to like old school Christian McCaffrey levels. He would get to the 5 figures. He got over 10K, I believe, on some slates. Jonathan Taylor not quite there, but the touchdown equity, the Colts totals every week, the good red zone role, the fact that the offense is running incredibly well, it all checks out. I think Jonathan Taylor, I guess maybe you might be playing Jonathan Taylor and Bijan together in cash. Those two, Zay, Schultz, that might be the base, but we'll see what ETR has in a moment. That's your top 5. All those guys above 25%. Jamar Chase at 24. McCaffrey at 22.5. Again, expected ownership by Stochastic. You want to see the updates, make sure to click the link in the description. Go over to Stochastic at 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. Derrick Henry, 21% ownership. He is real cheap at 6K. That said, that is an assumption of production for him. Derrick Henry has not been as good as he was last year. That's not a hot take or anything, but the things that stand out is like he was missing over 20% of the tackles going against him last year. This year he's down to 4.5%. The red zone role also not as good for him, and they just haven't been in the red zone as much, so I get it. But 2.5 red zone opportunities a game, It's not as good. He's not as good. He's negative EPA per run, negative EPA per pass. He's not. I think Derrick Henry, in my opinion, he was looking like he hit the wall, and it sucks because I really thought he could keep it going one more year based on just how good he was last year. But the underlying numbers are really kind of falling off of a cliff for him. We'll see. Lamar being back, one more shot here at usefulness. This is the home stretch for all of our long-term money. Drake London over 20% expected owned. Devon Achane expected over 20% owned. Obviously, a nice counterpoint for Atlanta's expected success going against that crappy Miami defense. Let's see, guys, under 10. Joe Flacco under 10. I'm not sure about that. D. Henry is washed. I mean, look, they're running bad. They're running bad right now, so I think he's really more of a front runner running back at this stage of his career where the team needs to be playing well. But they have a really high total this week. Chicago's defense has played well against the run. So, if you can't get there in a situation where the total's high, but the matchup is a little bit tougher, I don't know. We need him to play the Dolphins or something. I don't know what the schedule is for the Ravens coming up, but he needs something real easy, perhaps, to get himself going. The Hurts double stack with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith seems too cheap this week. Sure, it did just hit last week, so I think it wouldn't be crazy to me to see this be a week where Saquon, they try to get going. The public narrative against Saquon shifting a little bit. Pro Football Talk had an article pointing out how Saquon is really underperforming in every possible way this year, and it sucks for Saquon because I don't know that it's entirely his fault. I think he's the same player he was last year. He's just not getting wide open runways to get through. That said, he is getting less red zone opportunities, only 3 a game. Giants defense, though, really bad versus the run. 0.11 EPA per rush, I believe, is the worst of all the teams playing this week. So I think if Saquon can get going here, they're also missing 25% of the tackles that the Giants defense is against run plays. This could be the Saquon get right spot. So yeah, I think you're right, Richard, about the stack being appealing. But I think it's going to be appealing for other people, given the fact that it was just a hit, not about a week ago. Nothing else too exciting. Drake May, everybody loves Drake May, right? But he's getting Cleveland. If Drake May plays well against Cleveland, I've already kind of backed down off my somewhat anti-Drake May stances. I'll say somewhat, because I never thought he was that bad. I just thought the hype was too high relative to the player. But they're projected for 24 points against Cleveland. If Drake May lights up Cleveland, I will give him a real feather in his cap. Right now, he's still looking good and everything. And the fact that he is unowned, 4.4%. And, Cleveland can push against the Tennessee pass defense that, like we talk about, every variable secondary, usually not that good, in particular downfield. That's the case this year again. Maybe Drake May at low ownership. Maybe it's something. It's hard to get the stack right, though, because 1 week it's Diggs, 1 week it's Butte. A lot more weeks than it feels like it should be, it's Butte. Pop Douglas barely involved. Hunter Henry, though, still involved enough. It's tough. All right, let's go over to ETR, see what we get over here. You get guys premium video coming up. I will put up the warning thing, I guess. We're just going to give a time countdown and a shot to join here, but the premium video will appear on the same feed for members, so stay tuned for that. Let us update projections slightly here so that we can run a cash game lineup. We'll go 09, 9, and 5, 9. All right, just slight decimal changes so that it can be run without breaking whatever terms of service occur, thanks to DraftKings. And guys, again, show some love if you can. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button here. Again, premium video after this, NBA video on the @SplashPlayBets channel, or via the playlist that's on the Splash Play Pod homepage too. I do try to make sure it's easy for you guys to find. But check it out. Been nice to get the NBA views right away from a good amount of you guys. So I'm doing both sports. It does sometimes make my brain a little bit sleepy in the beginning part of the year. But we're pushing through it here, and it's still a lot of fun to me to play NBA and NFL. So it's nice to get both here, as long as you can withstand the ever lasting challenge of bankroll. Top projected play right now, according to ETR data, Bo Nix is your cash game QB. Derrick Henry, Rashad White. So we're going cheap at RB with ETR data. Jamar Chase, Emeka Egbuka is in this one. Chris Olave, so double bucks right away. Chris Olave, Dalton Schultz, Rashid Shaheed. The Saints double makes it without the QB. And Bengals D against whatever the Jets are going to trot out at QB. And not Garrett Wilson, and perhaps not Breece Hall is also questionable. Got to say that wasn't what I expected. Very balanced build with that ETR data. I mean, projection-wise, Jonathan Taylor ETR has at 26.1. Stochastic had Taylor at... oh, wait, not value. Hold on, I'm in another tab comparing here. They had Taylor at 25.2. So they have Taylor higher, and you're still not getting him in lineups. McCaffrey, ETR has a 23.36. Stochastic has a 23.04, but you're not getting McCaffrey here with the higher projection. And Bijan, 24.4 is what ETR has him for. Stochastic has him for 23.4, and you're still not getting Bijan here. Huh. All right. So ETR people, it seems more likely to get, again, this is really balanced. Besides Jamar Chase, and, you know, Nick Book at 7K is expensive, but really balanced, especially at RB. If he plays Fields, is really tempting. Man, like, he really looks shell-shocked out there, so it is hard for me to want to advocate too much for him, but I would play him again. I still unfortunately think I'll play Rattler a little again, especially given the fact we're getting these natural Saint stacks projections, and I don't think people will play Rattler. It's always a personal appetite thing. Like, some people are like, I'm never going to play this guy. He burned me. I tend to be more like, well, I still believe in like the thesis of what we're talking about here. To sometimes kind of like the Vikings defense thing where there were sacks, there were plays that led to Cameron Dicker kicking field goals. Vikings defense still didn't make a winning lineup. Like, you could still be right in football, but not right enough that it makes sense for your fantasy lineups. And I think that's where Justin Fields' career has been this year. Yeah, none of the big three RBs. Missed the start. Does Dobbins interesting? Not too much. Just the workload's not really there. There's too much RJ Harvey, too much Dobbins for Harvey too. Like, it's not great. All right. Overall, in these top 25 lineups, Dalton Schultz in all of them. So he's one player right away. Will get a little bit more popular for ETR players. Again, nice price tag, and with no Nico, no Christian Kirk, and a Niners team that we expect to push and put up points, Dalton Schultz may be a strong PPR play, even if he doesn't score a touchdown. Player stacks, 92% of these teams have Jamar Chase and Bengals. So right away, that might be something to strip away. Maybe start to think more about what jet bring back you can do, though you do naturally get in the number 2 lineup, Jamar Chase with the Breece Hall bring back, even with the Bengals D. So that's interesting to see. Yeah, no, it's a lot. I don't really know what to make of this, and frankly, just in general, receiver with defense doesn't make the most sense. Maybe consider some Chase Brown Bengals D lineups if Bengals D is coming up this easily. About a quarter of lineups have an Olave Rashad White stack. Another 16% have Rashid Shaheed and Rashad White. And another 12% have both the Saints receivers, Olave and Shaheed, with Rashad White. Nothing to note there. 92% of lineups have at least 2 Bengals. That's the Jamar Chase and Bengals overlap. So, all right, a little bit weird, but I don't think anything too crazy here. Let's give our main slate boosts. We're going to try to also up uniques a little bit. So we could try to get some different groups. I'll go 3 uniques. Player groups. I'm going to do stacks. So it's going to really boost, as I always do every week, and I never save it. 17.5% boost for the running backs with our QB, and a 17.5% boost for opponents, along with 25% for the pass catchers, because that should always be a little bit higher in my opinion. And then let's go here. All right, we'll build 250. All right. Do they have Jawan projected in? I presume. They got him projected for 9.5. Taysom's not out there enough, I don't think. Taysom, 10 snaps a game, 3 and change routes. That's not a real role. Obviously, Taysom Hill can hit at any time. He played 9 snaps his first week, 12 week 2 that he played, 9 last week. It's a role that hurts Juwan Johnson, but it's not enough of a real role for him. Again, Taysom can always hit, but much like the I think you should leave bit, he can hit, but he's not a play you should really play, I don't think. All right. 160 lines. We're getting there. I'm drinking water. So we're getting some more Baker pulled in because of the Buck stuff. Best projected lineup is a Rattler single. I am surprised by the lack of expensive backs. I'm curious how the expensive backs are going to sim here. Because like if they're not coming up a lot in the projection set, I think they might be more interesting tournament options. No love for Otten. I think Igbukka soaks up too much of the projection. That'd be my guess. But Otten's coming in, looks like in 22% of these lineups, so he's getting a boost from Baker stacks, would be my guess, but probably not getting played on his own too much. He only really had that one stretch last year, and that was when there were no other legit receivers left that he spiked. You have Igbukka there now. Even if I'm not enthralled with Igbukka, he's still getting 7.9 targets a game. It takes away from what Otten can be. Tez Johnson, too, is also looking pretty compelling. Target share is not great for him, only 19% target per outrun. But 13 air yards per target, up to 3.2 targets a game, 0.8 deep targets a game. He's got something. All right, let's simulate this out. And we'll put it in the Millie Maker because they're now building this, thank God. Shout out ETR for building a legit field for the large field tournaments. Theoretically should help the sim be a little more predictive as opposed to having to guess off of the mini max or whatever. But let's see what we got here. And again, Solver, by the way, link in the description if you do want to check it out. It's a good tool. It's like your classic optimizer plus a Sims component on top, along with data that, Mike Leone and the boys over there always do a good job with. Very reliable stuff. And like I say enough times here, Stochastic and ETR, two of your two front runners, Saber Sim, Run the Sims, also doing good work as well. Like, I don't want to poo-poo on them. But, like these two, ETR and Stochastic, I do believe are your industry leaders. And it's a big part of my NFL process to look at both, reference both, understand why they're giving you what they are. And hopefully that helps. But check it out yourself if you want to do try the solver out. Even though I still have not updated the graphic, as you can tell. I updated these other graphics. Obviously updated drafters from when we had them. Updated Stochastic. Pour the solver. I just don't make enough off the solver to update the graphic. But I love the product. I do love the product. Let's see. We got Tua Tagovailoa, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, your number one ROI lineup. Jerry Jeudy. What? Jerry Jeudy? Jalen Waddle, CD. What is going on here? CD Lamb. This looks like nothing that the other lineups were. Mason Taylor, Rashad White, 49ers. So still mostly balanced besides we're getting Bijan in. But a Tua Waddle stack. And, Bijan bring back. So we are game stacking there. That was unexpected. Tua at number one? That's crazy. QB, Daniel Jones, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Chase. We are spending a lot of money here, so where is it going to... It's got all downhill from here, if I had to guess. Isaiah Bond makes this one. What is he doing? Isaiah Bond, 14.5% target per outrun. We're going to play Isaiah Bond, negative 0.5 EPA. Negative 0.33, sorry, EPA per target. No, fuck that. Come on. Josh Downs, Dallas Goedert, Tyler Warren, Bengals D. I'm sorry. If Isaiah Bond hits, come yell at me. But fuck that, man. Fuck Isaiah Bond. Like, I don't... And now, he's cleared of his domestic violence stuff, I guess. Whatever. But still, fuck him. Fuck that. Spencer, this is, again, another day of me yelling at Sims. We'll see how this goes today. Spencer Rattler, Saquon Barkley. I do like Saquon Barkley as a play. Again, I think people will chase that Eagles pass game a little bit. And I think that's getting Saquon going. If I were the Eagles and if football teams operate like they often do, get them going in a really soft matchup. I think if they can do that, they would like to. James Cook, Chris Olave, a triple stack with Rattler. Rashid Shaheed, Emeka Egbuka makes this one as our bring back. Juwan Johnson, Derrick Henry Colts. This is a sick lineup. I like all of it. James Cook, he's been a little bit up and down, but when he does go up, it looks pretty good. How's Carolina's run defense? Carolina's run defense has been pretty good. Negative 0.07 EPA per rush, so towards the better part of the league. Not missing a ton of tackles either. Not stuffing the run a bunch either. James Cook is just always kind of a tournament play to me. I mean, he's won people Millie Makers at like 5% or less ownership. I feel like he's still kind of that guy. Your number 4 lineup is another Rattler, but a Rattler single. Rattler, Derrick Henry, Rashad White, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Dalton Schultz, Emeka Egbuka, Browns. This looks actually pretty chalky compared to somewhat ETR's top lineups are, but Rattler single seems like enough. And here a double stack with Tyrod is at number 5 for ETR Sim. Tyrod Taylor, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Chase, and Mika Egbuka. They love that 3-man group of Taylor, Chase, and Egbuka. Tez Johnson makes this one the double for the Bucks without the QB. Dalton Schultz, Mason Taylor, and Patriots D against Dylan Gabriel and the gang. All right. Highest ROI players, Isaiah Bond, that fucker, 251% ROI, only 1% exposure though. So I guess when he hits meaningfully. Not related to any allegations. Chigakonkwo, 207% ROI, 0% exposure though. So another guy who certainly seems like he should have a ceiling. Overall, 4.6 targets a game, 0.15 EPA per target. He's a guy. He misses a lot of 39% avoided tackle rate for a tight end. Chig, you should have been better, man. This offense, Tennessee's offense is just like, even if they were as good as New Orleans, it would look so much better for that team. Josh Downs, 168% ROI, only 2% exposure. He's back from his concussion. A massive total for the Colts. Any Colt you play really can't begrudge too much. But Downs coming back does cannibalize everybody's upside. Noah Fant, 153% ROI, 1% exposure for him, so not big ownership. But when he does play well, he does seemingly lead to some profitable lineups. And the Patriots D, 112% ROI and 6% exposure. Your chalkiest plays that have high ROIs, Saquon Barkley, 104% ROI for him. Spencer Rattler, Mika Egbuka. They love Egbuka. They love that Egbuka. I am not going to do one on ETR, but I'll look on Stochastic. I feel like it would just be classy if you send that as a super chat. So I think, all right, let's run a sim here. But honestly, it might not come up. It probably doesn't project well because you're giving up too much projection at other positions would be my guess. If it were a viable player, one that's spiked meaningfully, I think it probably would have come up in some of those top ROI things, but we'll see what Stochastic has. Might be different. But guys, show some love if you can. Again, hit that like button, subscribe. Video here, premium video will be coming up in like 20 minutes or so. Less if I go a little bit earlier. So stay tuned here, of course, for these videos every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. The must plays for our main showdown slates of the week, and of course the main slate. Sunday, final take's going to be a game time decision because I just don't know that it makes sense for me with how I like to build my lineups to give away that time period right now. And as I mentioned earlier in the week, that was a time before I made that video because I didn't, I wasn't doing anything live on Sundays. Now I have a live show at 11:30 with the Stochastic Live Before Lock. So we'll see about final takes, but I've heard people who requested. I just, the views aren't as high as they could be, and the time is not ideal. I'm sorry, that was a stupid voice. We're going to run this sim here. Judkins Bond double, definitely hitting every lineup in the face. They have a type. Who are your top plays on FanDuel? Not a serious question. Thank you. Let's see. Who's the top play on FanDuel? I'll just read off projections, and then it'll seem like I really care about the FanDuel people. I mean, how could you not love... that's for the Monday slate. Hold on. Here you go, FanDuel people. I'll share the screen, too. How could you not love Jonathan Taylor at a $10,000 price tag, or Bijan Rugg at another $10,000 price tag? Boy, I love how FanDuel squeezes every dollar out. Lamar Jackson, this guy, $8,700. This is my FanDuel analysis. I also just give nothing else besides just saying the player's name and the salary. Josh Allen, $9K. Boom. That's the little John Madden for you. Also, QBs, top values here. Daniel Jones, Bo Nix, Joe Flacco. This looks very similar, just with more expensive prices. Lamar Jackson, Drake May, Baker Mayfield. All your values are QBs until you get to Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is your top value, but who's not a QB? Oh, FanDuel. Oh, they're like the bad news bears over there. All right, let's favorite these top 150. Let's read the top ROI lineups right now. Again, it's Friday, about 12:43 p.m., so there's some time. We'll do a hand build, too, after this. We got Joe Flacco, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, so we got a Flacco double right away. Michael Pittman makes this one, so we are adding on to the Jonathan Taylor as opposed to leveraging against it. Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz, Bengals D. Number 2, Daniel Jones. So we're going Indianapolis double. Derrick Henry, Breece Hall, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Zay Flowers, Tyler Warren, Rashad White, Eagles. Number 3, Daniel Jones again. 4 of the top 5 lineups for Daniel Jones. So we got 1 Flacco, 4 Daniel Jones. Indiana Jones, many are saying. Daniel Jones, we got Devon Achane, James Cook, Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman again. Josh Downs makes this one as part of that double. Dalton Schultz, Tyler Warren. Actually, no, triple, sorry. Tyler Warren and Bengals. So double tight end, Daniel Jones triple, no Jamar Chase, Jonathan Taylor. So that makes sense. Play the passing game, play it aggressively, and hope Jonathan Taylor doesn't get there. He'll still probably put up yards, but if he doesn't score the touchdowns, that's what keeps him out of a lineup. Number 4, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor again. Derrick Henry, so QB-RB correlation worth noting here in this triple stack of Daniel Jones. Derrick Henry makes this one. Drake London makes this one. Zay Flowers, Alec Pierce, Cade Otton getting leverage on Igbuka with Cade Otton. Double tight end with Tyler Warren, and Broncos D makes it. Number 5, Daniel Jones yet again. Breece Hall, Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Tyler Warren. That classic Indianapolis triple, but no Jonathan Taylor. Alvin Kamara makes this one. We do have a torn ACL for Kendre Miller, which is sad because he is boned. Top 5, all Daniel Jones. Got to make sure you get paid for your time. I agree. People should join if they want Sunday Con. I agree. Only the paid customers can yell at me if I don't do a Sunday morning stream. If you are playing in single entry, would you rather play Achane, Rashad White, or Henry? I mean, you're talking about 3 of the chalkiest running backs you're going to have. Henry's got the most downside. I'd probably go Achane out of that group. But, I mean, they're different price points. I don't know, man. Like, I think it's an odd question. But Achane's the best projected, I would think, and would be my preferred play. I love that Flacco stack being the top ROI. Yeah, people are going to play it. Your number 1 ROI player, again, if we get no Nico, and I do believe Nico is not in the projection set. Christian Kirk, also not in the projection set. So, yeah, we are getting the expected one here for Jaden Higgins. 24% ROI for Jaden Higgins. He's not been a standout thus far, but you're taking away 2 primary weapons. You also have a good amount of ownership going to Dalton Schultz, so you get some theoretical leverage there. Cade Otton, 12.5% ROI for him, your number 2 guys, so leverage on Igbuka. I think our top 2 plays, the reason the ROIs are so high is because they are direct leverage on expected chalk. Michael Pittman, 7% ROI. We did see that Colts, many levels of stack, be very popular. Daniel Jones, 6.6% ROI. Xavier Hutchinson, 6.5%. Another guy benefiting from that Texan stack. Dalton Schultz, 6.1% ROI, despite being chalky at 3,300. Breece Hall, 5% ROI. Isaiah Likely, haven't seen him come up or even his name come up in any way in a while. 4.7% positive ROI for him. It only beat Zacchaeus at 0.4%. The sim always has a little bit of a hard on for Zacchaeus. I'm not really sure why. QB +1 stacks. Nobody has a positive ROI, but Daniel Jones is your top. Joe Flacco, number 2. Bo Nix, number 3. Double stacks, positive ROIs for CJ Stroud at 19%. Daniel Jones at 12%. Joe Flacco at 5%. QB +3 stacks, and those are your only positive ROIs. Your triple stacks, though, huge ROI for CJ Stroud. All the cheap stuff probably allows you to pay up at RB with my assumption, because your Stroud stack, you're talking about 3K-ish for Hutchinson, 3K-ish for Higgins, 3K-ish for Noel, 3,300 for Schultz. They're all in that same range. So your Stroud triple just allows you to probably get all the guys who spike in a lineup. So can Stroud win large field tournaments for the second straight slate? I think it's possible, just the way that it's going to work out. Daniel Jones, why Higgins? Because the usage, the underlying usage is probably better. For Higgins, there's been more snaps. And also the assumption, I think, would be that you get more Nico routes going to Higgins as opposed to slot stuff for Noel. But yeah, Noel just spiked. There's also the fact that Noel probably gets overplayed for just spiking. Yeah, that's basically it, I think, for me. Daniel Jones, 41% ROI in his triple stacks. Again, we saw a lot of them as top ROI lineups. Baker Mayfield, a much lower 9% ROI. So the Stroud and Daniel Jones stuff, Sims loving the most. Baker, positive ROI. Joe Flacco, positive ROI. Lamar Jackson, positive ROI for a triple stack. Highest exposures overall. Jamar Chase is in 2/3 of these lineups. So that's a pretty big amount there. Zay Flowers, 55% exposure here. That is a lot, but he's 5,400. Again, I think people will just kind of cram him in like Rashee Rice, and I'm not sure he's Rashee Rice in the situation, who got fed like a 58% target per out run. Like, Zay Flowers was targeted a lot when Lamar played the beginning of the year, less so as the weeks went on. It's a lot of Zay. Derrick Henry, 49%. It's a lot of Derrick Henry as well, given how Baltimore's played all year and how Derrick Henry's played all year. But I get it. He's cheap at 6K, with the total being as high as it is for Baltimore as well. Breece Hall, 41% exposure. Fields at 15. That is a pretty big stand in favor of Breece Hall, and he's a Q tag right now. If he doesn't play, what's I say? Is Isaiah Davis minimum? It may not be minimum. Isaiah Davis is 4,100. Yeah, if Breece Hall doesn't go, Isaiah Davis should be chalk. Like, he should be the way you save up and pay for all the stars. So that's a really important one to watch, with Breece Hall looking like a good play as it is. But if he's not in, and if that projection flows mostly to Isaiah Davis is just as good in the pass game, I think, as Breece Hall. He's missing more tackles, 20% avoided tackle rate compared to 18% for Breece, obviously at much higher volume. So that's not, don't take that as like a shitting on Breece thing. But the pass game stuff with no Garrett Wilson, and if you get Tyrod, well, really the most important spot right now, I think, based on the lack of information we have for who's going to play for the Jets. Dalton Schultz, 37% exposure, Fields at 14, so that's your top 5. And Rachaad White at 37 here, Fields at 25. What about a Baker stack to pivot off the Rachaad chalk? I mean, the thing is, you're still going to be playing some chalk if you play Igbuka with that. But yeah, I mean, that's the way to think about it. Rachaad White coming up a good amount. Obviously, Rachaad White looks like a good play, but if you were to play Rachaad White in 37% of lineups, it wouldn't be crazy to play Igbuka in a similar amount, and then Baker is paired with both of them sometimes, one of them the other times. Like, that's sort of the way to think about how you would manage a portfolio of lineups, ideally. Your highest leverage plays, probably going to look very similar here. Jamar Chase at number 1. Cade Otton, you're getting 35% exposure in Stochastic's top 150. The Field's at 8%. So that is a pretty big stand in favor of Cade Otton for the people that wanted to see some Cade Otton love. Again, I think he looks better in a stack with Igbuka and Baker, or in lieu of Igbuka, I think would be the ideal ways to play him. Breece Hall, 25% leverage. They're going to Fields at 15. Stochastic's giving you 41. So really important Q tag on him. Nothing we didn't just say. Derrick Henry, you're getting 24% leverage on his 49% exposure. That is more than 2x the field of Derrick Henry. And Zay Flowers, 24% leverage. Field's going to be at 30. They want you to get 55. Michael Pittman, not too far behind. Daniel Jones, they want you to play in a third of the lineups. The Colts stuff, man, like, really, that's got to be like your award winner for like biggest fantasy surprise, right? Like not even that they're good, like, because I don't think it's crazy that they're good, but the fact that they're like, if you're not playing Jonathan Taylor, like, you got to play Daniel Jones. That's kind of nuts. You're not going to get Dak versus the Broncos. I mean, if you want to play it for a tournament, you can, but projection wise, no, that's not going to come up. Yeah, no, not even a single share, but you could certainly play it. I mean, anytime you have concentrated targets in a spot where people aren't going to play the guys, you take that shot. It's just the projection's not really there. I mean, Dak's priced at 6,500, projection's 18.5. He's going against a team that does impede production pretty meaningfully against everybody, only giving up a 56% completion rate. They get pressure a third of the time. It's like, again, for a large field tournament, go play Lamb plus Ferguson, but you're paying so much for a shitty matchup. So it's not going to come up a lot naturally. All right, Bijan Robinson here. He is one of the biggest fades, so sad for my thumbnail guy. Negative 17% leverage for Bijan here, 32% ownership, 15% exposure in Stochastic's top 150. So he's coming up a little, but definitely half the ownership is a pretty noteworthy fade. Mika Egbuka. Doesn't seem like ETR wants to fade Egbuka. Stochastic will do it, though. Negative 14% leverage, only 14% exposure compared to the field's 28% expected ownership. Alvin Kamara, we got negative 13% leverage. He's only in 3% of these lineups. Field's expected to be at 15. Kamara's like PPR role has gone to shit. Losing Kendre Miller theoretically helps, but they might just give more work to Devin Neal. I mean, that's it. But Kamara's getting 4 targets a game. I don't think he's a bad play, but I don't know you want to play Kamara in an adverse matchup at this point, so I'm cool with that fade. Chris Olave, oh, all right, so they're fading him too. 2% exposure, Fields at 15, so seemingly, again, not as big of a fan as ETR is. And Drake London, despite the nice total for Atlanta going against a soft matchup in Miami, only 9% Drake London in Stochastics top 150. That is a negative 11% leverage on the Fields and 19% ownership. Okay. Well, I got to tell you, I don't know what the fuck to put in this lineup to try to make the sim happy. But we'll try it here. 25% to first. I mean, let's put in Jamar Chase. I think that seems like a play right away that the sim will enjoy. Let's go. You know what? If I'm trying to please the sim, I'm going to give it Daniel Jones because it thinks Daniel Jones is the greatest thing to ever occur at the QB position. But I'm not going to give it Michael Pittman because I don't really want Michael Pittman. I'm going to take the shot on Alec Pierce getting there. And I'll go Tyler Warren. I feel like he's been good enough. We can play him at tight end. That's 5,100 left per spot. So we're not going to be able to afford expensive running backs now. I mean, we know the sim likes Breece Hall. And I like Breece Hall enough, assuming that he plays. I think he's got to get some PPR targets, and Tyrod Taylor can get on the ball. If Fields plays, I think Breece Hall should be a worse situation. I think it's Penix playing, but it still could theoretically be Cousins. Penix has been limited all week, but I don't know about today, obviously, because I've been here. Okay. $4,900 left. Maybe pick a defense. Maybe that'll help. Titans, Panthers, Dolphins, Saints versus Baker. For me, I think it's Browns versus Drake May. I'm going to go Browns at 2,500. So we have 5,700 left for 3 spots. I think at this point, we have to go Rachaad White. And we know the sim doesn't like Igbuka that much, so I don't think we're missing out by not having him. I would not play a Titan. I don't think that's the move. I mean, you could. I know if Ridley doesn't play, like there's obviously opportunity to go around. But everything is chopped up for them, and the offense, I just don't feel confident enough. The projections absolutely are not there. Wide receiver. I mean, we're not playing anything from Atlanta. The sim didn't like Drake London, but I like Drake London. I also don't mind Darnell Mooney this week, but he won't be projected that well. 4,300 Josh Downs going to play. That's not a surprise because he's been practicing all week in full. But yeah, glad he's healed from his concussion. Does muck things up, though, for the middle of the field. All right, 4,300 left. Do we even have a play at 4,300? Might not be able to afford Drake London. Tez Johnson. Okay, so we take Tez Johnson again. Like no love for Tez. There you go. To be clear, I don't think Tez is a super great projection play or anything. But I do like his college numbers. I think he, again, was really efficient at Oregon. I've said this enough times. Not super fast or athletic in the way we would like him to be to move into a big role. All right, crushed it. Here we go. Final team. We got 102% ROI on a Daniel Jones. Again, the sim I knew was going to fucking gobble up Daniel Jones here. I'm also going to, real fast, before I read this lineup, I'm going to set the premium timer now. Start in 5 minutes. Okay. Timer's starting. Premium stream coming. All right. 102% ROI for Daniel Jones, Breece Hall, Rachaad White, Jamar Chase, Alec Pierce, Drake London, Tyler Warren, Tez Johnson, Browns D. Again, I like the concept of Alec Pierce this week. I just think he's one of those guys where whether you're playing Jonathan Taylor or not playing Jonathan Taylor especially, just getting that downfield target, hoping that he gobbles up a lot of yards that could very easily normally flow the way of Jonathan Taylor. I think it interests me. And then real fast, I did say that I would, I'm checking the timer here to see, I got 4 minutes and change. Let's see if we have any lineups with the 3 RBs, the 3 expensive RBs. I gotta think we don't, but let's see. Let's just go lineup. Lineup contains McCaffrey and lineup contains Taylor, and that ROI going down. Lineup contains Bijan. All right, we got like 7 lineups with the positive ROI. Tyrod Taylor, McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Drake London. So we're still affording some receivers. Zay Flowers, Josh Reynolds, Mason Taylor, Derrick Henry, Jets. Jets D doesn't feel like a play to me against Flacco, but it's literally just a Jets double. That's a sick lineup. It's a very nice little lineup. Number 2, Spencer Rattler lineup here with stack with a bring back, double stack with a bring back. Rattler, McCaffrey, Bijan, Olave Shaheed, Marvin Mims, Mason Taylor, Rashad White, Broncos. That is so legit. These are good lineups. The ROI is not good, but I like these lineups. Number 3, which means they're probably awful. Number 3 is Tyrod Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Tet McMillan, Tetaroa, not Tetaroya, Wan'Dale Robinson. Say that to nobody in particular. I hate it. When people get it wrong. Wan'Dale Robinson, Josh Reynolds, Mason Taylor, Devon Achane, Giants, and oh, you know what? I did leave out Jonathan Taylor. You're right. Why does it not have? Oh, you know what? It's got the other Taylor. You're right. I'm like, that's why the lineups look too good. All right. Can we get any with Jonathan Taylor? There are barely any. All right. A 6% ROI. Now we got it. We got Jonathan Taylor. We got Rattler, Bijan, McCaffrey, Shaheed, Josh Reynolds, Van Jefferson, Dalton Schultz, Jonathan Taylor, Browns. I could play that. It's not as bad as I would have thought. Anyway, there's your must plays for the week, guys. I've got 2 minutes here, so I gotta really be a professional broadcaster to transition to the premium streams. I gotta like space it out. First of all, plugs. Please do support the show if you can. I'm going to give you guys my splash plays for the week, I guess. Subscribe, hit the like button. Goes a long way for me here. Just one dude showing you my gambling as best I can across NFL, across NBA. Really means a lot to me to get your support here, guys. You guys keep helping me get over 100 likes. Views keep going up. The season goes on. That's great because I keep doing these videos all playoffs long or all through the playoffs. So please show some love. Hit the like button, subscribe. Even if you're just going to fade me, just please hit the engagement things so YouTube is kind to me. Stochastic, 15% off. Support the show. Half the money you pay to Stochastic comes back to me. So check that out. Link in the description. And Discord, $5 to join. Shout out to Brendan who joined here. Left me a very nice chat as well. But I appreciate that. You too can join. And if you are a YouTube member, click the link in the description. It'll take you over to the Discord. You just got to make sure to sync your YouTube to the Discord in settings, and you'll get access to all the channels right away. And if you pay for my NBA data, you also get special channels in there that show you the projections and all that. So it's good stuff here when you support the show. The show supports you. But premium stream coming up in 1 minute, less than that. So if you want to see that, click the join thing now. And besides that, splash plays for the week: Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey. If you want to pay a little bit cheaper, we got Derrick Henry. We got Rashad White. If you don't want to pay up a running back, how about these guys? Jamar Chase, Emeka Egbuka. There's a lot. So there's a lot of plays because I don't even fucking know. Not Isaiah Bond, though. I'll say that. How about no anti-splash play? No Isaiah Bond. NBA today, yes, 2 p.m. on the Splash Play Bets channel. I also have the playlist on the Splash Play Pod channel. And thank you guys for being here. I will be joining the premium stream in one moment, but now I'm going to play the outro in between. So see you guys in a moment if you're premium, and if not, maybe Sunday morning for final takes. If not, Monday for the showdown video. All right, bye guys.